The first time I realized I'd moved next door to a full-time menace was the morning three police cars rolled through the fog and parked on my dirt driveway like I'd robbed a bank. I'm standing there in work boots with a tape measure in my hand. And behind the officers, Melissa Grant, president of the Homeowners Association, points at me like she's about to have me dragged away. And the wild part is, she's screaming that I'm trespassing on the land my family has owned for decades. I'm Ethan Cole, mid 30s, burnt out on city noise and glass box apartments, so I bought myself a quiet dream instead, an old lakeside lot my granddad picked up back in the 50s. A small cabin, a little workshop, a place to breathe. No gate code, no neighborhood newsletter, no one telling me what color my mailbox should be. Except, that's where Silver Pines Estates comes in. Silver Pines is the kind of community where the lawns look photoshopped and the neighbors wave like they're in a commercial. They've got a homeowners association HOA so thick with rules it might as well come stapled to the deed. And apparently the president of that HOA, Melissa Grant, has been acting like queen of the lake since before I could drive. The first time I met her, I was marking out where the foundation posts would go. I hear this whirring sound like an angry mosquito with a mortgage, and a golf cart comes zipping up the edge of my property. Melissa hops out, clipboard tucked under her arm, hair perfect, sunglasses on like she's about to interrogate the sun. She doesn't say hello. She doesn't ask how I'm doing. She just goes, "And what do you think you're building?" I tell her a cabin. On my land. She actually laughs short sharp, like I told a joke without knowing it was funny. No, she says this area is under HOA jurisdiction. You need approval. I remember blinking at her because my brain was trying to process how a stranger could say that with a straight face. Ma'am, I go this lot isn't part of your neighborhood. I'm not in your homeowners association. Melissa tilts her head like I'm slow. Oh, honey, the lakefront belongs to the community. It always has. That was the moment I realized I wasn't dealing with a normal busybody. I was dealing with a Karen who had been given a title, a budget, and a sense of divine authority. At first, I tried to keep it civil. I didn't want a feud. I didn't move out here to argue with someone who collects rule violations like baseball cards. So I told her calmly that I had the deed, the survey, the permits, everything. She could call whoever she wanted. She did. Over the next week, my build site turned into a stage, and Melissa was the director. I'd come out in the morning and find notices taped to trees, unapproved construction noise complaint, violation materials visible from community shoreline. Like, what shoreline? I'm not on her shoreline? I'm on my shoreline. Then the letters started. Fines, threats, final notice before there was even a first notice. Her HOA letterhead looked official enough to scare a normal person. And I'll admit it, at night alone, out there, listening to the wind slap the water, it got under my skin. Because it wasn't just Melissa being annoying. It was the way she spoke like she owned the air around my cabin. Like reality was negotiable if she said it confidently enough. And then came the day she decided confidence wasn't enough. She needed sirens. I'm leveling some gravel when I hear engines. Real engines, not golf cart drama. 3 squad cars crawl up my driveway, tires crunching the same rocks I hauled in myself. 2 officers step out, hands resting near their belts, eyes scanning the place like they expect me to lunge at them with a hammer. Melissa is right behind them, standing tall arms crossed, looking pleased with herself, like she just ordered delivery and it arrived hot. One officer, Officer Miller, says, "Sir, we got a call about someone trespassing and illegal construction." Melissa cuts in immediately, voice loud enough to perform for the whole lake. He's building on HOA property. He's stealing community land. He's been warned. I felt my face heat up, not because I was guilty, but because nothing hits your pride like being treated like a criminal on your own property. I took a breath, reached into my truck, and pulled out the folder I'd started carrying everywhere because Melissa trained me to live like that. Deed, survey, permits, everything in plastic sleeves like it's a high school project, except the grade decides whether I get to keep my land. Officer Miller takes the papers and I watch his eyes track the lines like he's actually reading, actually doing his job. Melissa keeps talking like if she says enough words, the ink will change. "We've used that beach for 20 years, she snaps. "Our residents have always had access. It's common property." Officer Miller looks up and goes, "Ma'am, using something doesn't automatically make it yours." Melissa's smile twitches just for a second. And that's when the twist started to form right there in the fog with my paperwork on the hood of a police car. I spread the survey out and point at the boundary markers. The little triangles, the measurements, the exact line where my property runs along the water. The community beach Melissa keeps talking about, it's inside my boundary. The path they've been walking on my land, the little dock I'd seen down the shore, guess where it sits? Officer Miller's jaw tightens. He asks me steady and professional. So you're saying the homeowners association has been using your property without permission? Melissa jumps in like she's swatting a fly. It's not his. It's ours. It's for the neighborhood. And in that moment, I didn't have some dramatic inner monologue. I had a practical one because practical is what you become when someone keeps poking at your life. I thought, what if there's some weird easement I missed? What if there's a clause buried somewhere that makes this messy? What if I'm about to spend my savings fighting a woman who treats lawsuits like a hobby? Then Officer Miller hands me back my papers and says, from what I'm looking at, you're the owner. Melissa's face goes stiff like someone paused her mid-scene. Officer Miller turns to me and asks, do you want to file a complaint for trespassing? That word trespassing hangs in the air like a bell. Melissa's voice drops suddenly sweet. Now let's not get extreme. We can talk about this like adults. That night, my phone lit up with calls I didn't recognize. Voicemails from residents, some polite, some angry. One person actually said, my kids grew up on that beach. You can't take it away. Like nostalgia is a legal argument. I sat in my truck staring out at the black water, and I'll be honest, my stomach felt heavy. Not guilt, just exhaustion. Because I could see the shape of what was coming. Meetings, pressure, people acting like I'm the villain for not donating land to their lifestyle. I thought about packing up, selling cheap, walking away. Not because I believed Melissa was right, she wasn't, but because fighting an HOA is like wrestling a filing cabinet. You don't win by strength, you win by patience. And I wasn't sure I had any left. Then I looked at my granddad's signature on that deed, and something in me snapped into place. Not anger, not righteousness, just clarity. So the next morning I got to work. I called a surveyor to double confirm the markers. I bought steel posts, bright orange flags, no trespassing signs that nobody could pretend they didn't see. I installed cameras because when someone like Melissa loses on paper, they try to win in the dark. 2 days later, the vice president of the HOA, Tom Reynolds, shows up, hands in pockets, looking like a guy who got dragged into a mess he didn't create. He glances at my signs and says quietly, Melissa's spiraling. The board's not happy. I just nod. She should have stopped before she called the cops. Tom exhales like he agrees, but he doesn't want to say it out loud. And then, 2:07 a.m. My phone buzzes with a motion alert. I'm half asleep thinking it's a raccoon. I open the camera feed and my blood goes cold. Headlights, a figure in a hoodie. And even through the grainy night vision, I know that posture, the stiff shoulders, the jerky confidence. Melissa. She marches up to my new fence line, grabs the posts, yanks like she can pull property law out of the ground. When that doesn't work, she storms back to her SUV, revs it, and no hesitation drives straight into the fence. Wood cracks, posts bend. She backs up, hits it again, and the whole section collapses like it was built from toothpicks instead of my money and my time. Then her tires slip off the shoulder and her SUV drops into the shallow ditch with a thud that makes her lights tilt sideways. I'm already moving before my brain catches up, boots on keys in hand, adrenaline doing the driving. By the time I get there, Officer Miller is already on scene because someone, probably Melissa, called again. Only this time she doesn't have a story that fits the video. She's out of the SUV, furious hair a mess, yelling that I forced her to do it, like the fence jumped in front of her. Officer Miller looks at the wreck post, looks at my phone screen, replaying the footage, and then looks at Melissa like she's a math problem with only one answer. Melissa tries one last time, voice sharp, pointed right at me. He's harassing the community. He's trying to take what isn't his. Officer Miller doesn't even flinch. He turns to me and says, Ethan, do you want to press charges? I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. I just said yes. Melissa's mouth opens, then closes like her brain is searching for the magic phrase that usually makes people back down. There isn't one. In court, she tried to play it off as protecting the neighborhood, but the judge watched the footage, read the reports, and treated it like what it was: trespassing, vandalism, false reporting, and a person who'd been weaponizing an HOA title like a badge. When the judgment came down, fines, restitution, community service, and an order to stay off my property. Melissa didn't look powerful anymore. She looked small and finally officially out of control. Lesson learned: when someone mistakes authority for ownership, the fastest cure is paper cameras and the willingness to say no.